Good afternoon, welcome to Back Away from the Donkey. My name is Duncan, this is Gizmo, and welcome to Bath Books, and it's Tag Tuesday. And my little boy here, he's still rocking his pumpkin bandana, and he's going to be less annoying, aren't you? Aren't you? You're going to be less annoying? Oh, Sleepy, if I put you down, are you going to let me get on with this? Are you going to let me get on with this? Oh, I can't do this for you there. Let me put you down with your sister. Yes, I've had to do what I normally try and avoid doing, which is cutting my video, just because of Yorkshire Terriers. Yes, it's Tag Tuesday, and I was tagged by Roy Reads Everything from the It Takes Two tag, which was originally done by AJ Dunn Reads and Bookworm Adventure Girl. So, Roy tagged me, so what Roy says I have to do, I have just had to get a pile of books out for this one. So, stay with me. So the first thing for this tag is Double Vision, okay, a book that features twins. And my first thing came to mind was A Boy and His Horse, C.S. Lewis, part of the Narnia books. I have a tiny version here for some reason. I cannot remember what it's about because it's a long time since I've read it, but it's Narnia. You need to read it, but don't read it in the order they put it in this book. Read it in published order. Do yourself a favour, read it in published order. So yeah, that's Narnia, C.S. Lewis. And the second tag is a book with two or twice in the title. Okay, I have cheated a little. I've got two sets of books here. Easy one, Two Towers. Tolkien. That's my original copy there, if anyone wants to see it. And probably my favourite copy, with the gorgeous John Howe artwork on it. I have too many copies of Lord of the Rings in different forms. I've got more than this, but that's what I'll show you. But the other one I would highly recommend, off the beaten track, is Two Tales and Eight Tomorrows, which is a short story collection from wonderful Harry Harrison. This version's got lovely James Burns artwork on it, and it's got the favourite story, one of my favourite all-time short stories, The Streets of Ashkelon, which is also in the best of Harry Harrison if you can get hold of that one. Anyway, well worth reading. So we go on to the next question. I think I'm going through a bit fast, so I will slow up a little bit. A book with a reflection or shadow or mirror image on the cover. First thing that comes to mind is The Mirror of Her Dream, Stephen Donaldson. My copy of it is in a box somewhere, and yeah, so that's the first one that comes to mind on that. Plot synopsis is, I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, Take Two book covers that look similar but are by different authors. I'm cheating a little bit on this one. Everybody knows, well, you probably don't know my opinion on June. I think June's an okay book, but I don't think it's as great as everybody tells me it is. I've enjoyed it, but the wonderful, wonderful original artwork here by Bruce Pennington is stunning. Bizarrely, this artwork ended up on a few other books, and I will put a copy up here because it's also strangely on a copy of The Free Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch, a Philip K. Dick novel, and which I would love a copy of just because it's got that artwork. That artwork was obviously done specifically for June, and for some reason it is on that book. So I'll put a picture of it up there now, and you can have a look at it and think, okay, so that's my little cheat on that one. Go back to my list. I second that, a retelling. Okay. This is David Drake's Dragon Lord, which is apparently a retelling of King Arthur myth. I've not read it, so I don't know how good it is yet, but I will. It is on my radar to read soon. David Drake's first novel, apparently he, from what I remember, he did loads of research for another author, about a year's worth of research for another author to write this book, and the other author didn't want to write it, so he wrote it. So I'm quite intrigued to read this. But actually, this is a really nice version, the S12 version But I think it had a bit of a misprint on it, because if you look at the spine, weird. Okay, character plays 2 roles in a book. Okay, I'm going to talk Asimov's Foundations, so there's going to be a bit of a spoiler here. So, if you don't want to hear that spoiler, if you've never read the Foundation books, just skip by, and I will. I don't know how I'll signal, but yeah, just skip by a little bit, and I'll try and leave a gap between this one and the next one. Only be a few minutes. It's the mule in who appears in Second Foundation and that version, and Foundation Empire. It's another author. I've got various copies of the book, and he appears as himself, and he also appears as the clown with the wonderful name of Magnifico Giganticus. So that was a bit of the spoiler. Leave it a few seconds. Anybody who skipped past that? Okay, you can come back. You can come back if you avoided my spoiler. Now, a duology. I'm not sure where this word's come from. Past few years it's appeared. They were never called duologies, were they? Maybe I'm just getting old, but I don't think they were ever called duologies. Okay, the best one is everybody needs to read some Gene Wolfe. Sorry, everybody needs to read Gene Wolfe. So, this one, the Knight and the Wizard, the wonderful Gene Wolfe, who's got the most glorious prose. As with most Gene Wolfe, it's written from the first person. Strangely, it's not an unreliable narrator for a change, and it's the wonderful. Let me get the name right of the guy. It's 2 seconds. Just want to get his. Yeah, it's Sir Abe of the High Heart. It's about a young man who gets transported to a world, and yeah, I'm not going to explain it all to you because it gets very complex, as most Wolfe does, but it's not what you think it is, as most Wolfe isn't, and it's Gene Wolfe, and everybody needs to read Gene Wolfe. I'm sorry, you do. If you've not read any, read it. He's a gorgeous writer, gorgeous prose, and so creative. Okay, and a book told in 2 timelines. I was umming and ahhing over this, and what I decided for this was a little offbeat one. It is Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and this is by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. It's probably very bad pronunciation. I'm trying to think who translated this. Jeffrey Truzelo translated this, and this story is a time travel story, but basically it's the whole premise is basically in a little coffee house there is one seat in that house, and you can sit in that seat and you will travel through time, but you only travel long enough, you've got to stay in that seat long enough for your coffee to get cold and you have to drink your coffee. And it's a story about people, and it's about relationships, and it's a really, I read it once and thought, but thinking back on it, it's actually better than I originally thought it was. There's a couple of sequels to it. It was originally written as a stage play. It's very literary fictionish, but in a good way, not in a bad way. But yeah, that's Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and there's multiple timelines going on here, 2 and more. Next one, The Perfect Pair, 2 books you gave 5 stars to. Well, I don't really, me and star system's a bit funny, and I don't very rarely give 5 stars to anything. But I'll give you 2 books I've recently read that I would highly recommend. And if I can find them in here. It's always Philip K. Dick's Man in High Castle, which I recently reread for the umpteenth time. Always worth reading. But Jack Williamson book, Darker Than You Think, which is the first time I'd read that, and that is a great book, and I wish I'd read it sooner, and it's a werewolf book, but it doesn't do what you think it's going to do. And if the light suddenly got very dim here, hopefully we're fine, because it's got a bit dark outside, looking outside. But hopefully it should be fine. So that was that one. Two for the Show, a book that's been adapted to a film 2 or more times. Well, I'm going to pick a bit of an outlier here. Ray Bradbury, Martian Chronicles. Not really a film, but it's been adapted twice. A television miniseries in 1980 by Rock Hudson, which actually is very close to the book. Even though Bradbury himself didn't like it, I think it's really good. And it's actually partly written by Richard Matheson, him of I Am Legend fame. And it was also in part of Ray Bradbury Presents the Ray Bradbury Theatre. There were 2 or 3 episodes taking some of the stories from here. And if you get the chance to see those, it's well worth seeing. But if not, read the Martian Chronicles, because it's Ray Bradbury. And the final one is Double Take. It's 2 books I would recommend you read together. And why I would do. Okay, this is interesting. The first one is Tom Wolfe, The Right Stuff. And this is a telling of, if you don't know, of the space race, of basically to put the first men in space. And it's a fantastic book. Cannot recommend it highly enough. And I've read it quite a few times. The film is great as well, if you get a chance to see the film, the original film. And a book to go with it, which I think is also a great book, is Space by James Michener. And this is a historical fiction. This is basically a fictionalized version of the space race. And before I first read it, I thought, what's the point in fictionalising it when it's such an interesting story anyway? I'm sorry, James Michener does put really interesting spins on it. He brings up a lot of the stuff that's actually happened in real time, and it's just incredibly entertaining. James Michener's a really entertaining writer. I need to probably read more of his stuff. So that's my tag. And I can't tell you how long it's taken me to dig out all these books and have a think about this. I won't tag anybody because, yeah, I think if you want to do it, do it. It makes you think a little bit, and it is a tag well worth doing. So I will leave you that until next time. Thank you very much.